You got a great laugh.
No.
Yes.
Some of them. But there's one that's like this weird. That wasn't it. That was me trying to do it, and the thing is now I'm kind of like I'm on the spot, and I'm a little so now
sweating.
I feel like I'm not gonna be able to produce like a natural laugh, so we're gonna hear all sorts of weird laughs now. Ooh, we're here again with another episode of The Watering Hole.
The watering hole.
I can't believe you tried to leave me high and dry again.
I would never.
You've done it before.
I would never.
We have the footage to prove
I don't remember. I don't recall.
I can pull it up for you.
Like Shaggy said, wasn't me.
What happened to him? Oh,
what happened to what you were just doing? You just like tried to open up a banana. That was like scatting, but like smooth scat.
Is that what that was? Smooth scats with Freddie Wogan.
At least I said it was smooth.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I was listening. Tyler edits the podcast together, and then he
you hear that? He listens.
You disrespectful son of a bitch. Anyway, I was listening to the podcast because he had it uploaded but not published yet. And I don't know if you've had to go through this process. Maybe you're just in love with yourself or something, but I realized that I hate the sound of my laugh.
Oh, really?
And when you discover that you hate the sound of your laugh becomes so much more pronounced.
You got a great laugh.
No.
Yes.
Some of them.
Oh, so
there's like some
you're picking
deep,
and choosing?
There's some deep bellows. There's some situational laughs. But there's one that's like this weird. That wasn't it. That was me trying to do it, and
it's gonna come out now in your real reaction.
That was a weird.
That was all the precursor to set up the real laugh.
Well, the thing is now I'm kind of like I'm on the spot, and I'm a little so now
sweating.
I feel like I'm not gonna be able to produce like a natural laugh, so we're gonna hear all sorts of weird laughs now. Oh,
it's like, buddy, you're an actor. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like you don't watch Friends, but it's like when Joey was he was a butt double for I think it was Al Pacino, and they were like all you need to do is just stand there and show off your ass cheek, right? And apparently he was like way too tense, so they were like cut, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Well, I was just thinking like, am I like really like nervous in this situation?" He's like, "I wanted to show that." And he's like, I was clenching.
Just tightening up the booty cheeks.
He was like, just stand there. He's like, well, from a character standpoint, what's my butt doing? Like he just overacted even with his ass. You're overacting with your laugh.
Dude, there was one time where
what are you nervous about? That's what I'm curious about.
Here's the thing. I'm nervous about not having a genuine laugh.
If you're genuinely laughing, voila, you got a genuine laugh.
It's like okay, it's easy to be yourself until someone turns on the camera and says be yourself.
No one's turning on this camera and be like, Freddie, laugh.
But I'm saying now that I brought up the laugh, I'm having problems thinking about my real laugh, and I'm like in my head about it.
See what you're doing to him? You, audience, you see what you're doing to this man? What is that, a muted machine gun?
I'm trying to find that real juicy laugh in me.
I'm praying that you're not just like standing outside like you're the steps of your apartment watching people walk by. There are weirder things in LA, so maybe it'd be fun.
This is true. This is just this is a way of life. It is what it is, man. Anyway. Cheers, brother.
Big We got these mugs as a gift.
Yeah, for
my
wonderful lady Amanda.
They're freaking huge cups.
Massive.
Though. They're basically soup bowls with handles.
Pretty much. But they work.
Yeah, you don't know, but I actually got chicken noodle soup in here.
Yeah, chicken noodle soup with a soda.
What?
Is it with a soda? Chicken noodle soup with a soda on the side.
How about you just go back to your laugh? I like how you're like, I hate my laugh. So now I'm
gonna have like 10 different laughs throughout the whole thing here.
It's like in like studios, sitcom stuff where they have the applause and laugh tracks and shit. You're gonna have a laugh track of all of your different laughs. I'm here for it.
There was one time where a gentleman
caller.
There was a gentleman. He told a joke, and I gave one of those just like, you know, that you're supposed to show that you like, yeah, it's funny, and it was such a fake laugh,
like a pity laugh.
It was a pity laugh for sure.
Damn.
He called me out immediately.
Ooh, this was like a stand up.
No. This was just a dude like just telling the joke like in person.
Really?
Yeah.
And he called you out on
Called me out immediately.
Like, if it was stand-up, I'd be like, okay, he's heckling the audience and it's part of his bit. No, this is just a dude, like, you're just talking.
Literally just talking, and he said something, and I was just like, and he was just like, that's a fake laugh. And I was like, whoa, you just broke the rules of this social engagement.
I'm doing this for you.
Yeah, you said something. It wasn't funny, but you seemed to think it was. So I gave you some intentional laughter, and you gonna call me out? Suddenly I felt naked.
Your friend.
I felt like, what is
I'd
this?
I'd be like, did you laugh? They'd be like, no. I'd be like, did you laugh? No. I'm like, see, I'm your only friend here.
I'm doing this for you. This is for you. This is for your good, your own good.
You literally just friendly fired me.
And they just called me out. I was so uncomfortable.
Have you ever talked to that person again?
Nope.
Exactly.
Leave him be.
So you don't need that type of energy in your life.
Yeah, if I intentionally laugh for you when you call me out, we're done. I don't want those kind of people in my life.
That's where the bar's set.
That's crossing a line for me. That's crossing a line. There's a lot of things I'll forgive. That one, nay. It will be done.
Don't do that. Someone goes, that's a fake laugh.
I'm going. That's good. If you put me in like if you put me in like an old black sitcom, that's gonna be my thing.
Why do I feel like this is like how Tyler Perry discovered Medea. He did something like that and was like,
and they were like, wait, there's something there.
What if we put a wig on you?
Flush that character out. Flush the character out. Go with. Oh my God, there was layers to that.
This is about to be $1 billion franchise. Like, it's actually kind of strange how. Because I didn't even know until you showed me that he had, like, their plays. Like, I only knew them as their movies of, like, Medea. Like, this was a whole freaking thing he leaned into.
Yeah, the neighborhood we used to grow up in, it was like a thing for a guy to, he'd walk around with a trash bag, big old black trash bag, full of bootleg DVDs.
How much of it was porn?
I've actually never looked into the bag myself. It was kind of just like...
It sounds mythical. It sounds like whatever you want will come out of the bag.
I never saw it myself. My uncle would go to... It was like the guy. And he would be like, yeah, let me get this. I remember there was one time... That's where we used to get the Medeas from, right? There were a lot of Medea movies in there. And they were not the actual movies because movies hadn't come out yet. They were the DVDs.
Right.
So at least
DVDs of the plays.
In our community,
about, right?
Yeah. DVDs of the plays. Okay. Those things, like everyone had seen them. That was pretty common to have seen them. And then the movies came out, and they weren't nearly as good as the plays. In the plays, they break the fourth wall a lot. They have a lot of improv moments. So it's really good. But then there was one time where my uncle comes home, and he's like, hey, I got the new X-Men movie. And it was X-Men Origins.
Wow.
Really
so this is like
one.
Pretty recent. Like that was like, what, 09? 10, something like that?
It had to be before then because I was in Colorado in 10. Look up when X-Men Origins came out. Yeah,
but keep telling the story while I do.
It was before it came out. The movie was made.
So was this like someone in the movie theater had like recorded it and then?
Well, so I'll explain. Look up the year for me real quick.
2009.
2009. So 2009. It was probably about 2008 or so.
Okay.
Right around there when this happened. And he was like, I got the new movie. And I was like, wow, how did you get it? And normally, for a lot of these things, when you did get the good quality, it would be like someone in the theater, like really shitty quality, right? Yeah. So the movie starts, and I was like, wow, this is great quality. Like, Uncle got a steal. Like, them $5 was well spent. We gonna get
$5?
Yeah, something like that. It was cheap. And so I'm watching it. X-Men Origins is a terrible movie, but I'm watching it like, oh my God, I got the scoop. I got to see before everybody else does. And then it got to a scene, and this is where I knew something was weird. It got to a scene where Wolverine got hit with a train, and then it was just like a silver clay character. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what was that? What was that? And I rewound it, and I was like, what's happening there? Why is he turned silver? What is that? It was a version of the movie before they finished doing the CGI. Yeah, the special effects. So you can imagine, if you've seen that movie, how towards the end, the movie got very confusing.
Dude, hold up. One, how the hell did he get that fucking...
I don't know. Know.
Was he sneaking into these studios editing bays and like...
I cannot tell you how he got him, but I know that's the first way I watched X-Men Origins.
And 2, where is that DVD?
I wish I could find it.
Man, I
guarantee he doesn't have it anymore.
You needed to like pocket that shit and hold on to it for dear life. I would kill to watch that right now. That would make that movie better than what the movie actually was.
I was so confused. It took me so long to realize what I was seeing. Because at the time,
you're just thinking like, this is a weird decision.
Yeah, at the time, I didn't like. I know this sounds stupid, but I wasn't into films and shit. I didn't know how the process worked, so I didn't think that this is like. I was like, how is this possible that this is in DVD form? Why would they do this? And it was so confusing, dude. It was, but that man, he had everything in that bag.
I'm telling you, man, he had like whatever you wanted. If you wanted porn, he'd probably pull it out. He wouldn't even look in the bag. He'd just be like, I got you.
Oh, yeah.
I got you.
When I watched that DVD, that was the first time it ever stirred in me.
I want a rom-com from the 80s. It's going to make me laugh in the first half, but cry by the end. I got you, fam.
I was reaching on the right side of the bag. It's on the left side.
That was the one where that was one where you cry first and laugh in the second act. I got to go to this
It's
side.
all sorted. It's all sorted. Oh, yeah, it was a good time, you know?
That dude, I hope that man had nothing but infinite success, happiness. I hope that the bag man...
He's in jail.
Moving on.
I have no idea if he is, but I assume that his criminal acts had to have caught up to him.
Disney, or once Fox got bought by Disney, they started cracking down on these bag men.
Well, and I mean, he was crushing the dreams of children.
There's one, enhancing them, because now you knew how the movie making process happened. There's one of those bag men in every city block of person, right? And now Disney's hunting them down.
One by one.
And then
we're going to get a movie about the last man standing. And it's going to be bootleg.
We're going to make a movie called The Bag Man. And the only way it can be released is through the streets. It's got to be some dude just This is like Medea. This is $1 billion movie. We're going to have Bagman plays, Bagman movies, and pretty soon I'm going to be opening up a movie studio just like Tyler Perry did.
And I'm going to be casting it. That's going to be my role. Just always.
Hey, man. DVD's $5. Well, I only got 2. And then I just point and it cuts to you. The fact that you can do that so good on command bothers me, because it means you've been practicing this.
No, it doesn't. It means that it's a genuine part of who I am, okay? It's like laughter. You don't have to, just once you feel it, it just happens.
That's some good bullshit you're spewing. But I totally imagine you in your mirror late at night. I'm not even going to try to do it. I'm not even going to try to do it.
Just give me one good try.
No.
One good try.
No.
I'll get you 2 eventually. You're going to find it in you.
Do it one more time. That one really like accentuated the Oh my man! All right, well,
welcome to the watering hole. Welcome to the watering hole.
If you're still in the watering hole, welcome to the watering hole. What do you want to talk about today, my man? Do you have anything on your mind?
I got nothing on my heart and mind, man. Today I'm just chilling.
I'm having a good time.
It's been a good day. This is an on the spot question.
Do it.
Give me a moment in which are we cheersing? What are you doing?
No, because you were like, this is like you leaned in with it, and I like that
it's
motion.
Mirroring. Okay, yeah. Okay,
all right.
Let's dive in. Let's dive in. Give me a moment where the situation was just horribly uncomfortable by no doing of your own, but you were in the situation. I'm just asking you real quick. I'm gonna give you mine.
Well, there was one time I was in R. Kelly's room, and I was in the closet, and it was like I was watching all this shit take place. Like, that's how you're making that question sound. Like,
How is that? That's what you got from that?
The way you were making it sound is like I had to be observing a really awkward scenario with nothing.
I didn't make it seem like R. Kelly. You were watching him piss on girls or something?
I didn't say that. You said that.
You would heavily
You insinuated it. I said R. Kelly in a closet.
When you're in a closet watching R. Kelly, what else are you viewing?
I don't know, Freddie.
None of us
I don't know. All right. But you went straight to pissing.
I'm going to piss on you.
Okay. Rephrase the question, my man.
Rephrase the question. I'm gonna give you my moment. So it's a moment that's uncomfortable. I'm gonna give you mine.
Good.
I pull into a gas station and I see this kid who I knew from church group and area and stuff like that. We never hung out. We weren't really close or anything. We haven't seen each other in years, but I knew him enough to where I recognized him, and I didn't want to talk to him at all. Not that I disliked him necessarily, but I just didn't want to talk to him.
Right.
You know, and so it was kind of one of those where I got in my car and I realized he's walking out, and I realized
hoping they're not going to recognize you.
Hoping that he's just going to keep on walking.
Yeah.
Of course, he does not. He walks into the walks right in front of my car, and then stops and makes eye contact with me. And then he's like, "Oh, Trey, is that you? What are you? What? Is that you?"
Little head bobbing.
And I then have to do the what?
What?
I didn't. Dude. When were you here? Oh, the whole time?
Oh my God.
What?
It's the your face is cleared up, no longer full of acne.
Yeah. And so we're at a gas station, right? So I get out of the car. Obviously, now I have to get out of the car and I have to say hi to him. Damn. Get out of the car. I walk up to him like, "Oh man, good to see you," and whatnot. And so now the small talk must commence to some degree. And so I, not wanting to have this conversation.
It must commence.
It must commence to some degree. By what
law?
By the law of being fucking respectful.
And what's going to happen if you don't follow this law?
R. Kelly. That's all we know, okay? And so I... Why did you make those noises?
There's nothing funny here. And yet I can't stop laughing.
The way you responded. Oh. Okay, wait. We're not even drinking. Okay, wait a minute. Stop with the eyes. Pull it in, man. Pull it in.
I'm out, baby. I'm out.
Oh God.
The tears are flowing.
Oh
yeah, that's the thing. Freddie mentioned it. We're not drinking. We're not. We're
sober. I have soda water. He has tea.
You're doing a 2 week.
This is my second stint of 2 weeks.
And I'm gonna go 4 weeks. And so we're not gonna do any drinking. We are not having a sip. I haven't had a sip in since Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
So that's 5 days or so. And the fact that we are stone cold sober and allowed that to happen.
But no, it wasn't even like it was the funniest joke.
It's not even a funny thing.
Nothing's. It should have been glazed over.
We were possessed by demons.
I can't wait to go back and listen to the sound that you made.
It wasn't even that weird.
It was weird. It was a strange noise
Stop
to witness.
Stop it.
Straight up to
okay, I wanted to acknowledge one thing. So we're not drinking, and you might wonder why the hell do I have my Christmas stuff up from last week? So while we're in this little intermediate period, let me just brief up. We're doing this because I was gone for 2 months, so I left in mid-December and came back to this, and well, damn it. It looks nice.
That's the shittiest explanation.
And I'm keeping it up. So if you got a problem with that, come see me. Come on down to the watering hole.
All right. Anyway, I'm going to finish this story. Why are you still looking at the camera?
Because I'm trying not to look at you.
Okay. The story's not even what is with your face? Just,
Try not to look at you.
Okay. And,
I'm Ray Charles in it.
Anyway, I'm talking to this dude, and the small talk commences as is mandatory.
Right. By law.
And here's what the weird part of it. So clearly he wanted me, like he stopped me. Like as in like he was the one who was like, whoa, like you, yeah, it's you. And I get out and we shake hands and I go, so what you been up to? I kid you not. We're at a gas station. His response is, just getting gas.
You're like, where do I take it from here?
And it was like this weird, like 2 seconds after, 2 to 3 seconds. He said that and I was like, And I was like,
you should have done your fake laugh. No, not that one. Not that one. You should have done your fake laugh.
But he says that, like he says, I'm just getting gas. And I was just like,
wow.
Me too.
and then what?
And then I was just like, well, it was good seeing you. And that was the end of the exchange.
What's funny is like, what if this guy had the same thoughts you had, and he was like, just don't make eye contact, and then he might have thought somehow you saw him see him, and he goes, oh, fuck, so then he's, all right, I gotta go talk to Freddie, because that's the way of the rules, that's the law.
Except, I asked, what have you been up to?
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, he probably didn't have anything planned either, but he's just out of courtesy.
Give me something other than I'm getting gas while we're at the gas station.
Give him something other than, me too.
What am I supposed to say?
I don't know, Freddie.
Oh, that's exciting.
I don't know.
Tell me more.
Did you see the unicorn that came out of the gas station before you went into anything?
Oh.
You can't be mad at him for giving you a shit setup.
I feel like I could. He didn't give me shit setup. I gave him a great setup. What have you been up to? Just say anything. You've been practicing guitar. I want to know about your passions.
Freddie, you are an expert at small talk. So it's kind of like you're playing with amateurs. That means you pick up the slack. You drop the ball.
Oh, that's an unfair approach to that situation. It's an unfair approach.
How dare you, sir?
I must either admit that I am no good, or I must admit that I could have done better.
Am I as good as I thought I was? Yeah, so that's. I like how your setup to the thing was. It was awkward through no fault of your own.
It was no fault of my own.
Right, but you could have done better.
No. First of all, he could have not looked at me.
Why didn't you ask him
he could have not looked at me.
You could have asked him what type of gas he was getting.
Just getting
unleaded?
gas. Whoa, hold on. Wait a minute.
Unleaded?
We could dive deeper. Unleaded?
Premium?
Like, no. Whoa, not unleaded, huh? You got them kind of pockets, huh?
That's 10 cents a gallon more. Look at you doing well for yourself.
Well, you know me. I know the right gas stations to go to. I know the proper prices.
You're like, I'm trying to be like you.
What are we going to title this podcast? What are we going to say this is about?
It's going to be,
Freddie and Tyler don't know how to do a podcast. That's what
how not to do a podcast.
How not to do a podcast. 101. We got you. 101. So anything went on your heart? How you doing?
Oh, just getting gas. Come on, set it up.
What kind of gas you getting?
I'm really glad that you asked.
No. What you got?
I got a pretty fancy car that only takes premium gas. I got the car.
I'm back in my car already. you start that whole thing.
I was going to tell him that I sold drugs to Obama and blackmailed him into giving me a shit ton of money before he became president. But I guess Freddie didn't want to hear that story because he got it in his car.
All I can visualize is the scene from The Dark Knight where the guy tries to blackmail and Morgan Freeman's character is talking to him and says like, that's what I
look like to you?
Well, you just said you blackmailed Obama, and he just like budged.
Yeah,
like little Tyler Gaylord just blackmailed Obama.
I just don't like the analysis here because that dude's a little chump bitch, and that's what you're looking at me. And
you just said you blackmailed Obama.
That's a boss move. I said I successfully blackmailed Obama. That chump bitch failed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying I did. I'm saying that the guy, the gas station. moving on. There's no saving this podcast necessarily. So let's just talk about shit that's on our hearts and minds. So we just got done watching WandaVision, episode 8. The one right before.
Episode 8.
The one right before. So I'm curious, what were your thoughts? It's fresh on our mind. Try to keep away from spoilers.
That's true. WandaVision's an interesting one because I am a huge fan of Marvel. And obviously, a big allure of comic books is often action and whatnot. And it feels like one of the first times, unless there's something I just don't know about, that we're getting like a weird like comic book mystery show rather than it being more about combat and action scenes and sequences. And so it's been weird because I'm hooked enough because I want to know what kind of how things are going to play out. I want to know, I know that you have to know some information from this when you move forward, when you see the movies. And so like I'm hooked in the way that I'm a fan of the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so I got to know what's going to happen. But it's been weird witnessing such a, I don't want to call it boring, but like, it's just such a different approach to comic books that we've seen so far. I don't know, man. I just don't know where it's going.
Well, I'm interested because, like, for me, what I love about it is, you know, you have, and I'm not going to try to pretend to be an avid comic book reader. I'm not. But I do know enough of, like, comic storylines and stuff to know that there are the storylines that are action-driven and very, you know, a lot of intense combat stuff and things going on there. And then there are the ones like this, which are very much just their own world, their own tone, their own interest. Like Vision had his own comic book about 4 years ago, I want to say, which was just him in suburban life. And I'm sure there were some things happening in there. Yeah, and it was just him and his family. He had a Vision, a girl version of Vision, and 2 kids that were like Vision, and it was just them. I didn't read it, but I know that they've drawn through aspects of that in this show as well as other things, and it was just like him in suburban life and stuff. So there are these stories in comics because it's so expansive, and because people who are comic book fans are fans of these characters, right? And so they are willing to go along and see how does this character react in a given scenario or these things. And I think we're now getting to that point in Marvel and comic book storytelling as a whole that we can start to do that, because the MCU is no small secret. It's a huge, successful franchise now. So I think a lot of people are invested in the characters, not just the action, not just these. So they are interested in seeing how does this go and how does this affect, you know, the storylines moving forward, and just how do these characters react in a given scenario. So, yeah.
What I do think, and this is kind of pulling a little away from just MCU and Marvel, is what we have seen, which is pretty cool. And I don't know if it started with Game of Thrones, but that's kind of that's the furthest back that I can think of, is we're starting to see shows get the same treatment as movies, the same love and care, the same kind of budgets. Right. Like, look, we're starting to see graphics. I think Game of Thrones is the first one that I can think of that had movie-like graphics.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying it's the first, but it was one of the first that I saw.
If you're looking for like the CG and the amount of money, yeah, probably for sure. Because if you remember, now I've only seen the first season of Game of Thrones in its entirety, but the CGI in the first season, when they did not have a lot of money, was not very good. And then you look at it in the later seasons when they did have money and all this support, and it's excellent.
Yeah, and I do want to make sure I'm not talking about just quality of like writing and all that stuff, because there's tons of great shows.
Yeah, you're just talking about like the special effects.
Yeah, that allowed us to do more like fantasy type stuff. You know, we got the big Lord of the Rings series coming that has a massive budget. The Marvel
apparently they're spending I think $25 million on some, like, each episode of at least, I want to say at least Captain America. I don't know the budget for WandaVision, but I thought I heard that Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier, that TV show, is like $25 million. That's
massive. Game of Thrones had $10 million per episode.
Yeah, it's like something they got away with. Disney, as far as I know, Disney is throwing a shit ton of money at this stuff.
But the exciting thing about that is it used to be that any story you got told that was like, if it's some kind of superhero thing, some kind of fantasy thing, if you were told that story via a television show and not a movie, you were almost guaranteed to get a lesser quality. because when it came down, even, I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. It's had its ups and downs, but overall, I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. Whenever they get to like a big CGI moment, you're like, oh, guys, come on. And they got a decent budget of like close to $1 million, I think, per episode or something like that. But that was a lot of television. As soon as you get to the big moments, Smallville, when I used to watch that, every time they had to do anything CGI, it was like rough to witness. And so it's exciting because with that comes the chance of telling so many more stories that wouldn't get their own like movies. So many small series, so many, like WandaVision would never be a movie.
Right, yeah.
But they can now tell that story. And Captain Falcon and
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier. That is probably something that wouldn't have become a movie. But
though I could probably see it if it's a buddy cop MCU. I could probably see
that
them
one. I
could see
now.
More.
When they come out with this, I could see them eventually
that one I
doing
could see more than WandaVision. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that we wouldn't see, or like the Obi-Wan series coming out. Star Wars, like all of these different fandoms, I feel like have a lot more. They have a lot bigger chance of having stories told because we can now stretch into like giving shows quality material and quality content, quality budgets. And so that's exciting.
There's a couple thoughts I have on that. One, streaming itself definitely as a medium makes this possible because it's similar to when we were going to watch A-List, when we had the A-List subscription to AMC and everything, and we could go see 3 movies a week. Well, we got to see movies that we probably wouldn't have seen if we had to pay full price. And it's similar. Some of these would not be made because they would, back in the old school formula, have to compete with other big network shows that have a specific time slot. And if you had a bad time slot, your show was just dead in the water because you needed that live TV audience to keep a show going. But the act of streaming guarantees a set number of money, so they know what they're dealing with the budget because they have this many subscribers paying $6.99 or whatever the fee is, right? Then they could set their budget appropriately. And you can have WandaVision. And if almost no one watches WandaVision, which isn't the case, but if that was the case, it wouldn't matter. Because they're not trying to do a season 2 of WandaVision. It's going to end after episode 9. So you put that out, whoever hits it, whatever hit and misses, you learn from it, but it doesn't necessarily monetarily affect you.
Yeah.
Until you start losing subscribers from maybe consistent like underperformance, right? Whereas back in the day, you had to compete for that primetime TV hour slot with all the other networks and everything, and if yours just wasn't holding up, you were dead in the water. So, streaming makes this possible to take more risks with your storytelling.
Yeah, one of the cool things they're doing, which is like the marketing strategy of it is beautiful, is having these really well put together shows that are directly connected to the big time movies coming out. Just all being just connected means that like even if we didn't like WandaVision very much, it might give us a nugget of thing that goes, but I need to go see the new Doctor Strange if that's connected. I need to see this. So the way they're doing it is even the lesser ones still amp you up in some way for something else that you might be excited about.
Yeah. I mean, everyone was upset when Disney was never really embracing the Netflix shows. Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones. They were allowed to make mentions to the events that had happened in like Avengers and stuff like that. But it almost seemed like Disney was very much trying to keep it at a distance from bringing it into the MCU. Now, because Disney is doing this stuff, they are able to make direct references and connections to what was going on in the big budget. So yeah, you do get a little bit the best of both worlds. What I'm interested in is from the industry that I have chosen to make my profession at the moment, the amount of jobs that this is creating. Good or bad, the amount, look at the sets, look at the costumes, look at the makeup, look at the CG artists that are being hired for all of this stuff. It used to only be that you would get attached to these movies, and that's where you got to really go crazy. When I was looking at the behind the scenes of the Andor Star Wars show, I was listening to the costume designers and the set designers talk about it, and the excitement that they had to have these huge budgets and to be able to create these towns or cities like within sound stages. And it just seemed like, man, like if you're going to have 10 Star Wars shows and 10 Marvel shows, whatever it is, the amount of jobs that's creating in this industry is unreal.
Yeah, I was reading some stat about California's economy, and I think it was somewhere around like 50 billion or somewhere in that ballpark is what the film industry gives to California's economy. So like when you talk about the jobs that these things are creating, it like not to toot the artist's horn, but it feels like the film industry does a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I wonder how that pales in comparison to like agriculture and stuff, which I think is supposed to be like, I think that's California's like #1 shipment.
I think it was.
You know, and so it's like, it's like maybe 50 billion sounds like so much to us normal people, but it's like the agriculture
probably some like
like
crazy thing.
500 billion. Like, yeah, thank God for actors.
I did get into I got into a whole argument with somebody, a discussion.
Perfect. Yeah.
About
as that goes.
It was about whether or not like there was this thing that talked about how artists are non-essential. It was like a list of most essential and list of the least essential, and artists were at the #1 for least essential. And this person was feeling pretty strongly. They posted something about it, and I didn't really like the post, in my opinion, because I was just like, we like artists aren't essential in the way, like in context of the pandemic, they're not. You know, like if you're trying to stop the spread of things and you're trying to say we only need the people who are essential, artists are like the furthest down that line. She was coming from more a position of like art itself is essential. We need art to live through life. And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't make the artist of current.
I don't know, man. Art's gotten me through this fucking pandemic, that's for sure.
Art does. But we have a ton of art.
Right, but I'm saying you need artists to create the art.
But that's what
that's where this goes.
That's what I'm saying. We have, so in the context of a pandemic in specific, so if we say within a year's span, we need to not spread as much as we can, so we only want the people who are the most essential to be out there working. So art is very essential. Artists create art, but up until this point, we have countless amounts of art already obtained. We're not cutting off the flow of art entirely. We're saying we need a slowdown on the creation of said art for this time period.
So how, I'm curious, and now my next question for you is, how long does a pandemic have to go on for before we start being like, can we ship some artists out to a spot to make something? Are we talking like bubonic plague levels, which was like 200 years on and off? Because like that's what people don't realize about Shakespeare's time was he constantly mentions a plague in so many of his plays because there was so many times where they would go 9 months where they'd be open, and then they'd shut down for another year or something, or some time span because there was an outbreak of the plague. Plague would go down a little bit, but they never like cured it. So they'd be like, okay, the numbers are down, similar to kind of today. And so they'd go back into the theaters, they'd go back out into public and see the plays and see the stuff. And then it would spike again. So there was this, Shakespeare, oddly enough, was creating in a time of a mass plague.
Yeah.
And so there's a question of, I mean, Shakespeare's one of the greatest, artists of all time and works of art and stuff. So we have a lot of art now. How, if we're talking bubonic plague levels and we're going on for like 100 years, at what point do we go, I'm sick and tired of rewatching Malcolm in the Middle for the 10th time?
I think it would have to be, if we're going full blown like post-apocalyptic, just daydreaming a little bit here. It would have to be a while, but it definitely would. I feel like what would happen is before we decide as a society that we need to implement it again, we're going to start seeing like underground artists, like truly underground
speakeasy artists.
Yeah. So like, oh, if you're looking for art, I know where you can find some.
And there's going to be people who enforce like the authorities that say like, you can't do that. So, it'd be like, you're like at a club and then like, cops, and then everyone's got
exactly.
Like
everyone's doing it's literally like, look at this painting.
Yeah.
Look, they're just doing a little small, like this is just a little 30-minute play, right. And it's just like, oh, you one of them, you're down with the sewer dogs,
it's
the
like
plague spreaders.
Oh, that's a great short. I love that. Even as like a short novel or something, I love the sound of that, because that really is kind of, because not all art has to be made with a group of people. We are looking at like novelists or painters or stuff like that, but it does have to be enjoyed by a group, but not a group of people, but by the masses, right? Because you can create art in a vacuum, but for art to really have its full potential, it has to reach the masses. Now, like when it comes to books and stuff, yes, people could grab a book and then go home, but for the most part, you're talking music, you're talking plays, you're talking stuff. Those are they're the most powerful amongst groups.
Yeah, well, one of my arguments against what I was saying to the person I was having this conversation with is I was like, you gotta consider that we don't need all art, we don't need all artists. I was like, we could probably.
I can live without a sculptor.
Yeah, I was like,
nothing against sculptors, but I'm
well,
not.
it's not even that. If you just took like the top 5% of every art form,
right?
Those are probably all we need to really, because it's not like just we need everyone who thinks they're an artist to create. We need the top people to get some stuff out there for us.
Yeah, but how do you get to the top? How do you get to the top, Freddie?
You wait till the pandemic's over. But
it's a 60-year pandemic. You're like 87 years old. Like, the pandemic is over. Like, now's my time to shine.
Yeah. One of my arguments was if you took the top 5% of every art form. So top 5% dancers, painters, actors, directors, just 5% of all art form, we'd actually probably have a pretty good steady flow of wonderful art. I was like, you take the top 5% only of doctors or the top 5% only of plumbers or any of these things. I was like, we're going to be in a much worse position if we can only take 5% of that population.
Says you. Probably, man, what do you eat healthy and listen to science? I'm an artist, man. We live off of art.
Eat health. So, did you just suggest that artists just don't eat healthy?
Ramen
what are you
noodles.
over there eating healthy?
Ramen
You're
noodles.
focusing on your fruits, fruits and your veggies.
When you're underground like we are, you take what you get and you get what you take.
Oh yeah. How you think In-N-Out was named? We get in, we get out. We get it. It's the artist. It's the artist.
You think if I'm an artist, I can afford In-N-Out consistently?
You're an artist, and I've seen you get in and out. I've seen you get in and out. I'm calling you out.
So I will say though, like, just to kind of wrap it up, I am very happy about the amount of jobs and everything that's going on in the industry. It's ultimately great for the industry. The bigger debate that we can have at a different time is how will this affect the movie industry, because it does lose some of that luster, some of that like
the gravitas.
Yeah, because if the action in Falcon and Winter Soldier and the set pieces and everything are as comparable to what we got in like Winter Soldier, right? I don't know, Captain America, Winter Soldier. I'm not saying that you wouldn't go out and see it, but does it lose some of that specialty factor to it,
Yeah, I don't want to get into it too much because it is a full discussion. But the first thing that comes to mind that I think that would help the side of movies is that there is something to be said about the idea of going to see a 2-hour thing that, it might be a sequel or connected to other things, but it's 2 hours of you're going to start, you're going to have your middle, you're going to have your end, and that's it.
Yep.
The commitment is 2 hours. The commitment is not 8 hours, 9 hours, or 15 episodes, 20 episodes. I think there is something to be said about the idea of I have a free night, so I'm going to go take in this thing, and then I've seen the thing.
We are experiencing. Never before has it been tested this heavily, but the idea of what is a screenplay when it is a movie, when it's a miniseries, when it's a continuously running multiple season TV show, right?
Yeah.
Because you are really, if you're intending it to be a movie, you are trying to tell a complete and contained story in 2 hours. And we've seen movies that would go on to inspire television shows or miniseries of it, and the way that they have to tell those stories, even if they're utilizing the same characters, are entirely different. We'll talk about that more in a future date, but it is interesting because it's never been stressed as heavily as it is today. What do you put in just 2 hours of a film?
Yeah. Well, if you managed to make it all the way to this point, you're a real.
At one point, I didn't think Freddie was gonna.
You're a real. You're a real one. You're a real one, and we appreciate you.
We owe you a drink,
and we love you. We owe you a drink, a beverage. I'm looking forward to actually listening and watching the beginning of this.
Fun.
I just want to go back and just go. Okay, when did it fall apart?
No. When did it elevate to master to God level tiers?
Oh yeah. At what point was Tyler in the closet? Just figure it out.
Well, until we can go and figure that out,
All
everybody. Right. Have a good night. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.